Greetings, my name is Jet, and welcome to my channel, JITV, Jet in the Valley. So this one's going to be about ourself, how we have a self. I might attach this to the one before, right? And so in the nature of Earth and reality, how things are, we take information, and when we interpret our information, we decide immediately how it affects us. We have the self, and that's the way that our self is built in. When I talked about it in the last video, that's where I was going with ourself, how we have to be suspicious of ourself, and how we're supposed to basically reject the nature of our self. I'm not talking about little attributes and different things like that. I'm talking about we are literally supposed to become love-based living individuals. Okay, God is love. We're to become love-based living individuals, meaning we're selfless. We don't go through this filter of self anymore. We are just like Jesus did, how he functioned for other people. For other people, it's a servant. He was a servant, right? And that may not seem like it would pay off right now, but it is going to pay off because it is the nature of where reality is going. It's going to create a love circuit. When you are a servant to everybody and everybody's a servant to everybody, it creates a love circuit. That's literally heaven. That's the nature of reality. Or earth, the New Jerusalem, when it's completed, I guess. So this is what I was going to say. We naturally take this information in, and we have a self, and we think about ourself before we think about anybody else. But we seem to be very unable to be introspective. When we see other people doing things, the nature will be to get onto them, to be, that's wrong. How could they be so selfish? How could they do this? How could they be like that? They're lusty, greedy, they're envious, all of those things. But then we have an inability to recognize when we're doing it in our lives. So the real example that's been having this happen are people with different that are exhibiting different coping mechanisms. I'm going to call it that. I don't like to use the word mental health. We have coping mechanisms that we use to function in everyday life with people and things and all of these different things, right? And many of the coping mechanisms are not intentional. These coping mechanisms have come from different experiences in our lives. And our brain and our body is trying to keep us safe. Our brain and our body is like a computer, okay? When you type something in, say you type in a bad experience, right? It goes into the system, and it's like our brain is great for this, right? But it tries to solve the problem. If you had a bad experience, your brain tries to think, how can I never let this happen again, right? And so many times our brain and our mind and our body, it makes up coping mechanisms that are not loving. They're not loving. They're programs that are running in just the nature of our mind and our body, and many people are not aware of it. Some people are aware of it, and they can't talk about it. They can't talk about it. But many of these people that have these things happening, they see it in other people, and they're not forgiving. They're not forgiving, and they're very harsh and stern about it when they see it in other people. And Jesus said a thing where it was like, how are you going to say anything about the speck in your brother's eye when you've got a rod sticking out of yours, or something very close to that? So biblically speaking, it says we are supposed to work on ourselves. We're not supposed to try and control other people. Our power that we have is introspective for ourselves. You can't make anybody else choose to be a love-based living individual. It's our free will. We have our free will to choose to become a love-based living individual, right? Many people, their self has to become so bad before they understand, before they go seeking for the answers, okay? But some people, they just don't know. They just don't know the option is there to choose love over anti-love. Many people are not aware of the nature of their mind and their body. People are just tinkering around, doing different things. And the Most High God is coming to everybody. He's trying to reach everybody because it's His will that all should come to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, which is love, to become a love-based living individual, right? There are forces working against all of the people who understand love, all of the souled individuals, people with the capacity to understand love. You have an enemy that you cannot see, just like Predator. The movie Predator is based off of the nature of reality. There are powers and principalities that you cannot see with your naked eye, with your five senses. But just because you can't see something, right, doesn't mean it's not there. So dogs hear whistles that we can't hear. Elephants, they communicate in grumbles that nobody can hear. But it doesn't mean that it's not real, okay? It is real. Many things are real. Many people reject the nature of the realness of reality because it causes them cognitive dissonance. People don't like to have the cognitive dissonance. So many times that's actually part of the coping mechanism that I talked about. Something comes in and it's too drastically different from what you know and understand for your reality, you will reject it, even if it is the truth, right? So we need to become aware of our pre-existing mind-body programs, right? You were mainly programmed between the ages of 0 and 7, fortunately or unfortunately. So many of the ways that your mind and your body operate, okay, just like a computer, were formed when you were young. Like I was saying, our brain is like a computer. So when you're a little kid, it's basically like an empty open computer. So when you have experiences, the experience goes into your brain. Your brain takes it and says, is this good or bad? Okay? Then you label it good or bad. Then it says, do I want this to happen again? Yes. Or do I want this never to happen again? No. And it will concoct these different programs inside of your brain without your knowledge, without your permission. It does this to your brain. It makes all this stuff up. It's the nature of our fallen mind and body, right? It's the nature of it. You're not doing this on purpose. This is nothing on purpose, okay? That's why God knows what is going on. God knows. God understands. We have a virus in our system. We are not doing many of these things on purpose. Many people, they want to guilt you and shame you into thinking that you're a bad person or all these different things, when it's the nature of reality. People want to reject the nature of reality, or they want to say, we chose it, right? You can't be both. But when we have the powers and principalities at work, they are using all sides of that to go against us, to try and stop us from being love-based living individuals. We are to be love-based, right? It is the superpower of reality is love. God is love. So we're counted all day long for the slaughter, right? Anybody who loves love, loves God, loves other people, you get stepped on. But they try and push you down. They don't want the light because the light shines and the darkness doesn't comprehend it. The darkness doesn't understand, doesn't comprehend it, not going to have it. And Jesus did not come here to convict and condemn, or to condemn people, but to give it life, and give it life more abundantly, right? But what did everybody do? Many people do to Jesus. They tried to kill him. They wanted him dead. They wanted him gone, because his goodness and his love causes conviction inside of us. It causes conviction to show that we aren't like that. We aren't like that. And people hate that because they want to keep doing whatever they want to keep doing. They want their prestige. They want their positions of power. They want their different things with money. They want all of these different things. But that is not what the nature of reality is going to be, okay? It's not going to be good for people who do that, okay? Because God is Jesus Christ. So learn about what Jesus said, what Jesus did, what he's saying is going to happen, and you have the power inside. You have the power to be introspective and to become more love-based and compassionate and less selfish. That's what I'm saying. people are very judgmental of other people's coping mechanisms, of their programming. Many people, they don't even understand that they are programmed. They don't understand the things that they're doing. Some people do. I'm not excusing people. And at the same time, we all have to take responsibility for our own actions. That's what I'm saying. Focus on yourself, because you can focus and change and make improvements on yourself. You cannot do that on someone else. You can't force someone else to do that. When you start working on yourself, inside of yourself, and become introspective, you're going to see the nature of reality, and you're going to become more compassionate and kind and forgiving. Because once you realize you're doing stuff that's wrong, because you didn't know, wrong is anti-love, that goes against love. You're doing wrong things and you didn't even really know it, then you can start to see other people are doing things like that too, but they don't know. We take all of these things so personally, how other people treat us. Many times, it's just they're functioning on autopilot between the ages of 0 and 7. They've got their minds that have been programmed, and they're functioning from their mind, okay? God said to function from love. We're supposed to be love-based living individuals, right? God is love. That is above your mind. You are not functioning from emotion or logic. You are functioning from a place of eternal, everlasting love and selflessness, okay? That is what a Christian is. And if you're not practicing that, then you're just a Christian by name only, is how they put that. I don't even like to talk about the word Christian, because it's been so contaminated, because most of the churches are satanic. They're literally satanic, because self-righteousness and selfishness are satanic attributes. They're not of God. Anything that's not love, okay, is not of God. That's how you look at it. It's not of God. So it's the enemy of God. There's two options here. There's God, which is love, perfect holiness and righteousness, right? And then there's not love. There's greed, selfishness, envy, lust. All of these things are what is called satanic. That is a virus that's in our system that has contaminated the system with death and decay. Jesus Christ came here to take the keys back of death and decay, right? And you can have that right now. You practice being introspective and understanding, becoming a love-based living individual, and to swerve out of some of these traps. Some things seem loving. They seem like love. But if it does not promote life and love, then life and love are interchangeable terms, right? If it's not promoting life and love, many times it's not the loving thing to do. The Most High God always does the loving choice, given any of the circumstances. Some of the circumstances are so bad that what are you going to do? Okay, I used to do that example of driving by an elementary school, right, of kids for the blind, and they're in the playground, right, and the teachers are beating the crap out of these kids. And these kids are blind, they can't see anything, they're handicapped, and the teachers, the principals are just beating the crap out of them. And, you tried calling the cops, and the cops didn't, so what are you going to do? Are you going to let these blind kids be beat up by teachers? Or are you going to go do something about it, right? What if they won't stop? What if they won't stop? What if they won't stop beating up the children? Are you going to continue to let them beat up the children? Or are you going to take a next step to getting a weapon? You're going to get a weapon to save these children. These little children, little blind children, are being beat by teachers, right? So in that circumstance, getting a weapon to stop these teachers from beating these children is the loving thing to do, right? A lot of spiritualism, they won't talk about that. They think that being violent, so-called violent, means you're not spiritual. It means you're not evolved. Well, no. Doing the loving thing, understanding love and anti-love. There's good, and there's good, which is love, and there's bad, which is anti-love. Now, the love is supposed to stand up against the anti-love. If you do not stand up, you're not filled with the love, right? Love overrides fear, right? Fear and love are enemies. So when you fill yourself up with love, you cannot be afraid. Tell my daughter this. She gets scared of something. Practice being in love and being grateful for something whenever you get scared, right? That replaces the fear and anxiety and all of that stuff, right? So it's like trading one for another. You cannot be in both places at the same time. You can't be in love and gratitude and in envy and fear. You can't, it's not possible. You can't do that. It's not the nature of reality. So we practice becoming love-based living individuals. We are the strongest people that exist, right? Because we are functioning from God and through the Holy Spirit and from love. And so with that, I'm going to call it good. Much love, many thanks, I love you. Thank you.